Welcome back to the Iron Grid, where we serve fresh takes weekly. I'm Ronan Summers. I'm here with the boys. How are you?
Doing
Uh,
great.
could be better, but Chicago will fight again another day.
Another day. Last week, probably not next week.
Well, they do have
Someday.
a bye this week.
Y'all gonna lose to
Honestly,
the
that
bye
might be
week.
perfect.
Wait, we're not the Lions. We will not lose to the bye week.
We've got boots on the ground in Indianapolis for the Colts Jaguars game this Sunday, so Colby and I are recording from our hotel a little bit outside of Indianapolis. I wouldn't even say really hotel, more of a motel,
Something
not
like
a
that.
Holiday
Holiday
Inn.
Inn. Uh,
uh, Great minds think
let's go
alike, or
ahead.
something like that.
Let's go ahead and start out with the Thursday night game, where Baltimore traveled to Miami to take on the Dolphins.
That was let's be honest, nobody really saw that coming. I'm sure some people were like, "Yeah, Miami can do it. They won a game last week. They've got momentum on their side." But the Ravens came in after facing a really great defense in Minnesota. Came in playing Miami, 2-7 Miami. All eyes are on Lamar to just have a great game, and that didn't really happen. Lamar did throw for 238 yards, completed 26 of his 43 passes, and he had one touchdown and one interception. But on the ground, only 39 yards, no touchdowns for him. The Ravens only scored 10 points and allowed 22 from Miami. This was a Ravens defense that I felt had finally started to get their feet under them and actually be able to play really good defense. We've seen it a few times this season, but apparently Tua comes in with an injured hand and is still able to ball on Baltimore's defense. So I don't I have no answers for what happened.
Right
Um,
whenever you think they that defense turned the corner, of showing like that in prime time. It's the Miami offense who's been struggling all year.
so I
Yeah,
saw a stat where Miami ran zero coverage, like blitz or whatever, like all out blitz, 40 times against Lamar Jackson. And it says he got sacked 4 times and was pressured 28. That is,
Jesus.
I mean, shoot, that's the way to beat them, I guess. Send as many people to tackle that man as you can. I guess that's the
I
key
mean,
to stopping him.
I guess that's how you have to stop him.
Everybody.
He did complete 26 passes for 238 yards. So it's not like he had a bad game per se,
No.
yeah, but
but
he also attempted 43.
and got sacked 4 times. So
True.
I don't know. Jacoby Brissett came out, started the game, was 11 for 23 passing, had 156 yards. Tua took over, 8 for 13 passing for 158 yards. He had 158 yards on 8 completions. I don't know what he saw in that Baltimore defense that Jacoby Brissett didn't, but okay. Like this game has me just baffled. I don't understand it.
I mean, Tua had the injured finger going into this game, so I don't think they were going to start him no matter what. And then Jacoby ended up getting hurt, like I think halfway through the game.
Yeah. Um Tua had a rushing touchdown. Uh I what other Oh, Xavier Howard had a touchdown. It was a fumble recovery touchdown, right. And then
Against
the
Sammy
rest
Watkins.
rest of the points came from 3 field goals from Jason Sanders for Miami and an extra point. I mean
I mean,
I want to
Miami.
know
Go ahead.
what went wrong with the Baltimore offense in that game. I don't think Miami just running that blitz the entire time was the thing that stopped them. Any team can do that, and Baltimore can probably figure it out. I mean, they have former MVP Lamar Jackson, for God's sake. And it's not like they have a bad head coach. So I don't understand what went wrong with that Baltimore offense.
I mean, you could point it at the play calling because it just seemed like all they were doing was running RPOs, is just either hand the ball off or throw it to a check down. 'Cause that's all that he could do. Because I mean, every gap was filled up by that zero coverage. So
Oh, yeah,
there's not
I
much.
guess I guess you do blame it on the play calling then, because I do remember seeing sometime through the second quarter they had thrown like something like 15 screens in the first half, and then ran the ball up the middle on third and long a few times. I don't. It's
Oh,
reminiscent of the Chicago offense in a way, so it pains me to see that. And I hate that I have to make that comparison, but it really is that sort of comparison that it's just kind of like we're just gonna throw a screen, hope it works. If you have the right defense, just send a running back for pass blocking as well. You're gonna block six at that point. I'm sure somebody can get open down the field.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't. I feel like the attention should be more towards Tua. He had himself a pretty nice little game there. He impressed the hell out of me. He,
For the short span that he played, yeah.
yeah, but I mean, prime time against a playoff team. I mean, he showed up. He got the job done. I don't know if Jacoby Brissett would have done the same thing. So, I mean, that's definitely something to hang your hat on if you're Tua or a Tua fan. Uh, I know, with everything going on in Miami, with Deshaun, all those talks, I'm sure Tua's heard that. So that was a good uh, showing for Tua. Kind of help his stock a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed by Tua. I think we're finally starting to see what Tua can be if the play calling is right for him. I think it all just boils down to not just how Tua can play, it's what is called to put him in the best situation, I guess.
Yeah, I don't. That offense was kind of expected to be, kind of a juggernaut, was it not? With all the pieces they've added, everybody was saying it will. If their offense doesn't or isn't successful this year, we'll know, about Tua. We'll know if he's, going to be the future or not. And I'm just glad Tua had a good game. He gets a lot of shots taken at him, just from the media, from everybody. I'm
Yeah.
happy for Tua after that showing.
Part of me wants to say that Tua is just kind of put in. I don't know. I feel like he's still a young quarterback. This is only his second year, and he didn't get his first playing time till at least halfway in the season last year, I think is what it was. So Tua's still a young quarterback. So all of the pressure being on him this quickly, I don't I don't like that. As a fan of football, I don't want all the pressure on him like that. I don't Miami doesn't have the pieces to like draft Tua, make one or two moves in the offseason and then be playoff bound. They
Right.
don't have those pieces yet. So I think putting him in that hot seat is not great for him because now he feels pressured to perform. And in a way, that's not terrible. You want your young quarterback who is potentially the future of your franchise to go out and perform somewhat like right
Right.
now. It's his second year. He's learning the playbook. But it also, at a young age, in terms of quarterbacks in the NFL, you as a coach need to try to give him the best possible way to succeed right now. He's not an Aaron Rodgers where he can go out and succeed without his three best receivers. He's not a Tom Brady where he can make it work without any top 15 receivers in the league. You know, he's
Mm,
a second year quarterback. You've got to put your play calling in a way that will help him succeed.
right. Oh, I think a lot of it, he's kind of getting the Mitchell Trubisky effect. Because Justin Herbert was drafted after him. If you look at Trubisky, Watson and Mahomes were drafted after him. All the attention was on Trubisky because why was he taken before those two Pro Bowlers? No, I think Trubisky did make a Pro Bowl, but
Yeah, he made a Pro Bowl his second or third season.
yeah, but he's also not a starter anymore.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I
I don't
think
know. You know what I mean, though.
yeah, I think arguably he could still start on a team somewhere, but
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Trubisky will end up somewhere, maybe next year. But
eh,
with Herbert getting drafted after Tua, I feel like that did number on Tua,
yeah,
his
I
stock.
think
Because after Herbert won the Rookie of the Year, now Tua's got to one up Herbert somehow. For getting drafted ahead of him. I feel like that's just unneeded pressure.
mhm.
It's fair pressure. No,
Yeah, I mean you're
that kind of
drafted
counteracts each other, but
higher. I mean you expect a third round player to play better than a sixth round player, you know? But it doesn't always work out like that. I mean,
yeah. But I
hell,
mean, we're
look at
talking about like the
we're talking
difference
about
between. I don't remember exactly what they were drafted, but we're talking like the difference between fifth and like sixth overall or something. I can't
yeah,
remember off the top of my head.
it wasn't very like far apart. I do know Tua was number 5. I do know that.
Right.
Um I guess if it were me as a head coach, if I don't have the best pieces around my quarterback, I've got to do something to utilize what abilities he has in my coaching. Whether that mean I change my scheme up a little bit or change what calls I prefer to have on specific downs. I If it were me in Miami right now, I understand Tua's hurt right now. I don't expect Tua to play top level football with a hurt hand, you know?
Right.
But if it were me in Miami right now and Tua gets the start, I'm doing what I can since Miami, in my opinion, does not have the pieces to go contend as of right now. I mean, they're 3-7.
Hmm.
Um, if it were me as head coach, I'm calling plays that I think can work and help Tua be a better quarterback. These years are for Miami to, in a way, groom Tua and get him to the point where he can go out and be comfortable in almost any situation, no matter what pieces they have around him. Is kind of how I'm looking at that situation with Tua.
Hmm.
Right now, until you get a at least mid-tier running back and a top-tier receiver and a defense that can hold up, which I'm not saying they can't. I mean, look at last night, or not last night, Thursday night.
Right.
Until they have the proper build around Tua and around the rest of the team, you've got to find a way to just get Tua comfortable and call the right plays to set him up for success.
Yeah, building around your young quarterback and making sure that you're setting up the offense for him in particular is crucial development. But
Yeah, I wish other teams would kind of take advantage of stuff like that. I mean, there are some people that are just like, hey, you draft a quarterback, you're instantly going to be good. Look at Jacksonville right now. I understand Lawrence is hurt, but it's not like he played his best football when he was in there. They don't have the pieces around him.
so let's go ahead and start up the grill. Yeah.
Works for me.
Oh, if we have to.
Oh, we have to. And Jake, unfortunately, I've got some questions for you. It sound like you're too eager to hear them, but you're gonna hear them anyway. So first off, for the first question, pretty vague question. You'll be able to kind of elaborate however you feel.
Yeah.
Uh, Who, in your opinion, is the front runner of the wide open AFC?
Oh, ooh. This is a very open-ended question. I don't know. There's not a lot of room for a lot of teams right now. I mean, Tennessee's 7-2. Baltimore's 6-3. Buffalo is 5-3. New England's 5-4. Pittsburgh's 5-3. Everybody in the AFC North, by the way, has 5 wins or more,
Sanity. But
and
the
it's the
NFC
same
West
in
was
the
supposed to be
West.
this year.
The AFC West all has 5 wins.
Yeah.
The AFC is wide open for whoever to come in and win. You've got two divisions alone that could fill out the entire playoff bracket for the AFC side.
It is pretty nuts.
I think after Thursday night, I'm very reluctant to even think about Baltimore.
Hmm.
Um, I've I've been very impressed with Tennessee. I didn't think 7-2 is where they'd be sitting going into Sunday. Um, I don't. They don't play. Or they do play Sunday. They play the Saints. In Nashville. I think as of right now, I think Tennessee can beat New Orleans. I
Hmm.
think Tennessee is the fair bet, not because they have the best record, but because they've felt like it's felt like they have had just that solid year all around.
Right.
Even with Derrick Henry on the IR right now, they've still played well. Um, I mean, even when he came out of that game, they still played fine. Like they didn't really have a lot of issues. It seemed like they had to switch up the game a little bit and rely more on Tannehill, but I feel like
Hmm.
he filled those shoes pretty well. Like he stood in there and he did what he needed to do, and that's the type of quarterback that I see Tannehill as. Um, I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I'm gonna give a close runner up though to probably the Chargers or Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh can get everything a little bit more together,
Hmm.
I mean, they did beat Chicago on Monday Night Football, um, but it was a lot closer than I personally feel it could have been. I think if Pittsburgh would have done one or two things differently, it could have been a two-score game.
Hmm.
Um,
If Ray McLeod doesn't fumble that ball, it's
yeah,
over. It was
exactly,
over in the fourth
exactly.
quarter.
I mean,
We go as far as Ben will take us. As
yeah,
if he doesn't play mistake-free football, which he didn't play mistake, he didn't throw an interception against the Bears, and he hasn't thrown a pick in the last 5 games, I think it is. So he started off really right. He had 4 picks in like the first 3 games, so that's a horrible stat. But then he's cut him out, and now we're starting to win games with him just playing efficient football. And nah, hey, I'll take it.
yeah.
Did the
I
ref
think,
did the refs help us win? Yes, I'm not gonna say they didn't. They had like 12 penalties for 120 yards. Had a whole
yeah,
triple double or whatever. But hey, a win's a win, and if we still gotta play 5 more games of AFC North football. We've only played the Bengals once. So, and I think
God,
everybody else has played AFC North twice at least.
at least. I think, yeah, I'm gonna stick with Tennessee for that pick. Even with Derrick Henry out, I think they just have a well built team still. I
Hmm.
mean, they've got Julio and AJ Brown, so like, yeah, Um, after that, I think it's the Chargers, the Steelers, the Browns, or the Bills could fit into that number two spot. I think any of those four teams could fit somewhere into that number two spot. So those are probably my top five of the AFC right now.
I like that. I like the Titans pick. Even without Derek, they've shown that they can still bulldoze good
Yeah,
teams.
I mean when Derek, I believe it was last year, and he went down for a game, or something. He was like questionable for a game. I went into that game saying if Derrick Henry doesn't play, their offense will suffer a little bit. But I think Tannehill as a quarterback, people don't. I won't say they don't give him the respect I think he needs, but they don't look at him as a quarterback who can hold his own.
Hmm.
And at the time, it was just AJ Brown and whoever their number. I think it was it Davis? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Corey Davis, which he was a great receiver for them as well. I won't say great; he was a good receiver for them as well. But now they've got Julio Jones, who to most people is still the best wide receiver in the league. I think Tannehill with those pieces around him and the offensive line they've got can still do something for that offense. And then it's just the next man up mentality for the running back position.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Tannehill has necessarily been given the respect he deserves. He's been viewed as more of a game manager, and that's definitely true because of the offense they've been running. You
Hmm.
know, pretty much basing it all on Derrick Henry, and rightfully so. Because whenever you got a freak athlete like that, you gotta utilize him. But
Hmm.
if we saw what all those carries can end up doing to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody was really surprised by it, but Tannehill, that Titans team will go really as far as Tannehill takes them. He'll
Yeah.
really have to kind of ditch the game manager mantra and kind of turn into a playmaker, and I think he can. He definitely can. The
Yeah.
offense, with those two receivers, you got all day Adrian Peterson, backfield. I mean,
AP is
I
back, baby. AP
he
is back.
is, he is. So Jake, I guess I'll go ahead and hit you with the second question.
Okay.
Are you nervous about the Cowboys after getting manhandled by the Broncos?
Man, I watched that game and I was like, I wish I didn't watch this game. I was so confident in the Cowboys winning. I had a friend who went to the game. He's a Cowboys fan. And I saw him earlier this week, and I said, "Yeah, how about them Cowboys? How about them?" And he was not happy.
Rightfully so. Disrespectful.
I guess I worry about was Dak ready to come back? Because if I'm not mistaken, Dak did come back in that game, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
and the thing is, even in the game he missed, he said if it was a playoff game, he'd be playing. So I don't know if he was necessarily not ready.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't 100%, but around this time in the season, I don't know how many guys really are.
Hmm. I mean, it's mid season. Bye
Right.
weeks are starting to hit for some teams. So I don't know. I think we're starting to see why throwing the ball against the Cowboys is not the worst idea still, no matter
Mhm.
how many interceptions Trayvon Diggs may have. He still gives up a ton of yards. You can throw it in his direction, and I'd say 6 times out of 10, you're going to complete the pass. And 60% passing is not great, but not bad for some
Yeah, no, you
quarterbacks.
take that. That's right around. That's kind of a little bit of a low season average.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can have that going against one guy, that's
Especially if you're a
definitely something you're
team,
going to target.
especially if you're a team that's already run heavy. You'll take 60% passing if your run game is still good. So I think that's kind of where the Cowboys faltered in that game, but I also think it was just that Denver defense. It's still, even after trading Von Miller, it is still not a bad defense, but I think that's credit to the coach, if anything.
Yeah, I agree with you. And as far as being nervous with the Cowboys, they're going to win that division. The NFC East is still the NFC least. It's just the Cowboys have superpower.
Yeah.
I guess compared to every other team in that division, they are the super team of the
Yeah.
NFC East.
I mean, they're the team to beat in that division, and if you can't beat them, then better luck next year. Sorry.
Yeah, right. But I don't know how I feel about the Cowboys. One week they'll look like the Cowboys are finally back, and then the next they get mopped by the Broncos at home.
Right.
What's going on here?
It was in Arlington, so it was like, what is happening? We're at AT&T Stadium. You've got everybody's healthy almost. Dak's coming off an injury, but it's Dak Prescott, and then you go out and shit the bed, basically. I mean, if we're being
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
They
it's
did not live up to their standards.
no.
No.
I mean, you lost to a 4-5 or a 4-3 Broncos team. And I'm not taking anything away from the Broncos. It was a 4-4 Broncos team. Um, yeah, I'm not taking anything away from the Broncos. Their defense is still good, but I give more of that kudos to the play calling than I do the players remaining on that team. I'm not saying that that defense is bad, but I think the play calling just had a lot to do with it.
I agree with you. I think that's a pretty fair take.
I think it was just
Uh,
overall, neither side of the ball played great for Dallas. That's what it boils down to.
right. I'll go ahead and hit you with the third question. It actually has to do with a former Cowboy.
Uh-oh.
Do one of these at least once a week. Uh,
Of course, of course.
Starting a team. Who are you taking at wide receiver? Des Bryant, Chad Ochocinco.
Hmm. I was a big Chad Johnson guy when he was in the league. I loved me some Ochocinco. Um, I don't know. I feel like Dez definitely got. He was definitely on top of the league at his position whenever he was here. He was one of the best receivers in the league, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Um, but Chad Johnson was for like a few years. Yeah, I'm not gonna say he's
Right.
not. I mean, it's Chad Ochocinco. People know that name if you watch football.
Absolutely.
Whether it be for the on-field antics or whether it be for his actually good play. Um, we've discussed it before. You take the fact that everybody knows Ocho Cinco. A lot of people liked Ocho Cinco. Um, he was kind of like that guy. If you were a kid watching football growing up, excuse me. Um, but at the same time, you got to give the respect to Des Bryant. Like I said, he was on top of the league at the wide receiver position, competing with guys like Megatron and you know,
Young Julio,
right.
I think, right? Yeah.
It was
That time.
Around that time, yeah.
yeah, it was probably like start of his peak of Julio's
Yeah.
peak, honestly. Um, as much as I love Ocho Cinco, I'm probably gonna go Des Bryant.
Really, I would have thought you would have taken Ocho Cinco. I like that pick though. That's why
I was
I brought Des Bryant up, just because
yeah,
I respect it. I like it.
I was really torn because I did I loved Ocho Cinco when he played, but I don't know. I think I think Des Bryant to me had that longer peak
Mm,
in a way. I'm not saying it was a very long peak by any means. I mean, he's still bouncing around the league today, but I feel like he just had that longer peak, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
He was a number one receiver for two different quarterbacks
Right,
with Romo and Dak. I mean, then again, Chad also played with the horrible QBs in Cincy.
right. I mean, Ocho Cinco made it work for Cincy, but I feel like Des Bryant was solidified as the number one wide receiver in Dallas for at least 3 years, maybe four. Since he just had that QB crisis, and it was I feel like we never got to see peak Ocho Cinco like we did with Des Bryant. I feel like with a top tier quarterback, we could have seen that peak of Ocho Cinco.
Hey man, Carson Palmer he was all right.
Carson Palmer was that man in Cincy for a year.
His early days in Cincy, he was the man.
I liked Carson.
I liked him more in the Cardinals.
I think everybody did. If we're being honest. All right. I'll jump into my questions now. Colby, I've got some questions for you. I got some questions for you. Are you ready for this?
Fire away.
Um, so as I was saying earlier, the AFC North and the AFC West both have teams where or every team in both divisions has at least 5 wins or more. Which division is the most competitive of the two? The AFC North or the AFC West?
You know, prior years, you'd say the AFC North. With that being, because well, this year with now all of them all having 5 wins, like years prior, it was mostly Pittsburgh, Baltimore handling that division most of the time. And since he would make a run here and there, but then Cleveland would always be the final one. The ch- the AFC West, it's been like a mix between Peyton Manning's reign over there, and then it just went straight over to Patrick Mahomes. For more for most competitive, I'd have to go the North. That I try to not be biased, but it's a it's a fist fight in a phone booth every time an AFC North team plays each other.
Yeah, I feel like
That that's not taking anything away from the AFC West. The Chiefs and the Raiders hate each other, and they fight each other every time. Like it's just divisions are like that, but just how nasty an AFC North game can be.
I feel like that question for you is in a way easy to answer because you are a fan of an AFC North team, but it's
But
also like
But
you
I also see why you would put up the AFC West. I mean, in prior years you wouldn't say that, but now this year with all of them having competent quarterbacks at the start, you kind of iffy on Denver, but Teddy Bridgewater is a compatible starter.
yeah, I mean he's a starter for most not most
E-
teams. He's a starter for a good amount of teams in the NFL.
Exactly. And with that defense, that's all they need is a Teddy Bridgewater type of quarterback. But
Yeah.
just right now, Big Ben doesn't seem like he's not right now, knock on wood, I don't have any wood near me, but he's playing mistake-free football. Lamar Jackson's still an MVP. Joe Burrow still has Jamar Chase, and Baker Mayfield just killed Cincinnati without Odell Beckham.
Right.
It's just
um good.
no, that's it. That's all I was
Oh,
gonna say.
okay. Um I'll jump into my second question. You may not like what I have for the second question, but we're gonna go with it. So I think we can mostly agree that there was some not so great officiating on Monday.
Ref ball.
Um,
Yes, there was ref ball on Monday Night Football.
yep. Um, there were a few missed roughing the passer calls on either side. I will say that it was on both sides. There were a few missed calls there. Um,
They kept calling Robert Quinn offsides whenever
yeah,
there was a clearly offside from Alex Highsmith that set
we're
up
we're
the
not
sack. That's
we're
it. It was a long day for any Bears
it
fan, and
was
I am
it
sorry.
was it was
Listening, you and me in a call watching that game, I was cheering for my team, but I felt bad that you had to go through all that pain because I wanted
it
it to
was
be a
so
fair
rough.
game.
Yeah, no, it was rough. I had this conversation with my dad yesterday actually, and we were talking about mainly the hits on fields, where there were a few hits where it was like, that should be a call. And I'm not saying that because my quarterback is getting hurt. I'm saying that because the NFL has those rules in place to keep quarterbacks safe. So my question to you is the point we got to in my dad or me and my dad's conversation was those type of calls or lack of calls are what in a way hurt Cam Newton and RG3. Do you think the lack of calls will hurt some of these other younger quarterbacks like Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence or Tua in the
I
long run?
mean, given the day, it all just depends on who's officiating on that, but with Robert, I like that RG3 and Cam Newton. If they would have had the refs that we have now, back whenever they were in their prime, I mean, RG3 also tore his ACL by taking a snap and
Yeah.
playing in that. RG, I can say like for Cam with how if he had the refs now or not at least on Monday night, not that game, but If he would have had the refs now, because they still throw those penalties. Like there was a play against Lamar Jackson where Javon Holland literally like he jumped and he made contact with Lamar after he threw the ball and it was pass and it was roughing the passer. But what was your question again? I'm sorry.
Do you think the lack of calls could end up like hurting these younger quarterbacks who aren't necessarily like the point that I made was, and this happened with Cam Newton in his second year. These younger quarterbacks aren't these big name quarterbacks like Rodgers or Brady. They're not going to get those calls all the time. So, do you think the lack of those calls, because there was one where Fields was obviously going out of bounds, and a Pittsburgh player ran up and hit him helmet to helmet as he was going out of bounds. He was still in the field of play. It was a clean hit per se, but it was still helmet to helmet.
Right.
That's a call on a Tom Brady,
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers player. You know,
You know, you know, you're talking about the Minka hit, aren't you? Is that the one?
I think it was Minka. Yes.
Okay, so I don't see a flag on that play, but there was still a play in that game where Justin got the ball out and Alex Highsmith he just runs into the back of Fields and Fields that is roughing the passer.
Right.
The ball is gone. They should get those calls to just not only for the sake of their player, just for the sake of the game, because that's just how it should. Because they're wanting to enforce that,
Right.
but. I just don't. I just think that Monday night game was just horrible officiating, and now the officials are just gonna have to try and dig themselves out of a 6 foot hole now.
Ronan, you can chip in on this too if you would like. I think the biggest thing for me was just that the NFL has these calls in place, and I'm not bringing up this conversation to try and defend like, oh, Justin Fields was screwed out of the game. That's not my point of it. My point of it is that these younger quarterbacks whose names aren't engraved in greatness right now, they're not going to get those calls like those other quarterbacks, but the NFL has rules in place to keep quarterbacks safe, yet refs are still reluctant to throw that flag if they aren't that big name player, you know? That's what it seems like anyway.
To answer your question, I 100% agree. Uh, I do think these younger guys aren't getting these calls, and it does have an impact on their health. The RG3s, the Cam Newton, and look at Andrew Luck. If we had the refs today, whenever Andrew Luck was just starting out, let's say,
Mhm.
he'd still be in the league. I feel pretty confident saying that. He was a big guy. Obviously, he almost ran like Cam. Obviously, he wasn't as athletic, but hard nosed, wasn't afraid to get hit, and that obviously did cost him. But there were instances where penalties could have been called and probably should have
Um,
been called.
sorry,
Yeah, I
breaking.
know.
No, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I
Ronan.
was gonna jump in
I was gonna bring
once
it
you
up
guys were
later.
done.
I was gonna bring
I
it up
Uh,
later.
go
Kobe.
ahead and
Go ahead.
Robert Woods is out for the season
Torn
with a torn
ACL.
ACL. He went down in practice, went up, finished practice, finished media, talking to the media, and I guess got it checked out, and it is confirmed. I don't know if it's confirmed, but it does seem like his ACL is torn.
Uh,
So Odell will
y-
seem to be the clear number 1.5.
yeah, Adam Schefter just tweeted he's out for the season, torn ACL. Odell, this is a quote from Adam Schefter. Odell went from being a luxury to a necessity now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. Colby, I'll
Mm,
hit you with my third question. Well, we can talk about that later a little bit more whenever we get to Odell. Um, so it's now November. I think it's a lot of football fans' favorite time of year. Because we get Thanksgiving games. Um, my question to you is, which part of Thanksgiving is the better part of Thanksgiving? The food or the Lions losing almost every year? I'm
That's
kidding.
coming.
I'm kidding. That's
That's
not
coming
my
from a
actual question.
coming from a
Um,
Bears fan.
my question is actually which Thanksgiving team is more fun to watch every year, the Lions or the Cowboys?
Ugh. I mean, the past couple years they've both been stinking up Thanksgiving. I'm gonna be honest.
I mean,
It's been
yeah.
like seemed like every year I've always looked because it goes Detroit gets the early game, Cowboys get the midday game, and then they throw whatever I don't know who gets it this year
It's
for
usually
the
like I think it's usually like Denver or like a central
last
to north or to a central to west team gets it.
well, last year it was supposed to be Pittsburgh Baltimore, but then it got played on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
But more exciting, I'd have to go Cowboys just because but they've both have been really bad on Thanksgiving though. That's just the really thing. That's just the thing.
I think historically the Lions are not bad on Thanksgiving, but they are the Thanksgiving team when you think about it.
Which I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't either.
I get they started the tradition, but why can't we get multiple games going on Thanksgiving? I understand why don't I have two games going on in the early window? The Lions and somebody else.
I,
And
I
then
think
have
it's
a
I think it's just a
and then have a
ratings
late
thing.
game window that's the Cowboys and then have a night game.
I think it's just a ratings thing, honestly.
Yeah, probably I don't know.
I'm a big fan of Thanksgiving football. I always say Thanksgiving is about the three F's: family, food, and football. Um, Thanksgiving football is always like football gets Thanksgiving, basketball gets Christmas. But I know every year for Thanksgiving, we're all huddled around the TV watching our fantasy scores and making family friendly bets around the table for the Lions football. So,
It's
uh,
tradition.
yeah, it's always super fun for my family. We'll have more Thanksgiving themed questions in the coming weeks with Thanksgiving coming up soon.
Alrighty. Ronan, I got a couple questions for you.
Fire when ready.
Alrighty. So now with the Robert Woods tearing his ACL and the Odell pickup, who do you think's gonna make it out of the NFC West as a division leader? The Rams or the Cardinals?
No, Cardinals have shown little to no sign. I mean, they had that blunder against uh, the Packers without their starting three receivers. I mean, other than that, they have shown no sign of losing top spot of the NFC West. Uh, I'm gonna say the Cardinals until the Rams can show that they can beat them. Yeah, the Rams first off, they need to beat the 49ers probably twice this season, and then have to beat the Seahawks again. Even get in contention. 'Cause I don't think the Seahawks are going to be much of a matchup for the Cardinals, and I don't think the 49ers will either. So it's really the Rams are the only ones that can kind of bounce the Cardinals.
That's
So
what I'm.
I guess to answer your question, the Cardinals for right now definitely. If the Rams are able to beat the Cardinals, I'd go maybe the Rams, but I think both teams will be in the playoffs regardless.
Yeah, no, it's just that coveted number one seed is just everybody's wanting it.
Mhm.
So and it's that those are so hard to come by. It's looking like it's gonna come out of the NFC West, and it's not. Kyler Murray's still questionable for this week. It's I don't know what that was against the Niners or what that defense did not show against Colt McCoy and letting James Conner score 3 touchdowns. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But going into the second question, starting a team, who would you like, Joe Burrow or Baker Mayfield?
Burrow or Baker? I'm going
Yep.
Joe. Uh, I think he has the higher upside. I like Baker a lot. I think he's a great leader, especially in Cleveland. What he's been able to do for Cleveland, yeah, I know a lot of people say that he's not the focal point of that offense, and he's that game manager role, like most talking about with Tannehill. But, I mean, we forget what the Browns were before Baker got there, and I feel like that's not really a I,
They have both brought winning back to their franchises.
right. To answer your question, I'm gonna go with Joe. I think he's got the potential to be something really good in this league. I kind of reminds me of I don't know, almost like a Drew Brees kind of player. He won't necessarily beat you over the top every single time. He's just he's surgical.
That's fair. I mean, it just seems like with Baker always without OBJ, he's just a whole different player, and it showed it this week.
100%.
I just wanted to get your take on that. And then for the final question, with the Packers finally seeing how Jordan Love looks in game action, what do you think they're gonna do at the end of the season? You think they are finally confident in Jordan Love and moving on from him and letting Aaron go, or do you think they still need to keep him and sign him back and let Devontae go? Or wait, no,
No.
Aaron is still on contract. I am sorry.
Yeah, so Aaron, I believe, is on contract through 2022, and then Devontae, his contract is up at the end of this year, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think they're over the cap somewhere somehow, and if they don't restructure it, I don't think they'll get Devontae back.
LA has shown that salary cap is a myth.
We got it. We got it. You guys get whoever you want. It's LA.
Well, and the thing is, other teams could be doing this. It's just they're not. I don't know why. And the method is we don't know how it's going to end up in 5 years, 10 years. That these moves could send the Rams down the shitter in the future. But I mean, they've been able to manage for the past. They've been going about this, kind of tactics since they got Keeb and Marcus Peters. So they've been doing this stuff for a while now. Kind of from the top of the litter and just kind of moving money around, kicking the can down the road.
I think the biggest thing with some of the Rams signings is that they know some of these players are towards the end of their primes, or they're like
Mhm.
older players that can kind of bring in that kind of mentality, that veteranship that they need.
Right.
That's not necessarily the case with Odell. But some of the guys they have brought in, like Sue when he was there, they were kind of guys toward the end of their prime who still had that veteran leadership about them and could still be an impact player no matter where they were or how they were used, you know? So I
Right.
think that's been the big thing. They get these big names, um, but the contract is not always going to add up to what you think it will because the Rams know that these guys aren't necessarily as great as they once were.
Mm.
You could sign Des Bryant right now, and people would be like, "Oh my God, they're signing Des Bryant. He's probably going to want like 2 years, 10 million," and that's just not necessarily the case anymore with Des
Right.
Bryant as he's towards the end of his career. Um, I think that's just the formula that the Rams have going, and I think it works. So in 5 to 10 years, that's not going to be a big issue, in my opinion. They're in a win now mentality. They've got something going here. They got rid of Goff for Matthew Stafford, and Matthew Stafford is balling in LA. They've
Mhm.
got Cooper Cup, who's been playing very well. Robert Woods just went down, but they've got OBJ now, who's going to make plays. That's just Odell. He will make
Right.
plays. They've got a good run game going, no matter who's in the backfield. I won't say good, but they've got a competent run game for the most part. Their defense is
Yeah.
always going to be good. They have Aaron Donald. So I think they've got that win now mentality, and until it starts to go down, they're going to keep making these moves. And that's
Mhm.
just how it's going to be for LA Rams football for the next probably 5 years until Matthew Stafford leaves or retires and they don't have another quarterback.
Yeah. But Colby, to answer your question, I personally think Rodgers should stay in Green Bay. To answer your question, I don't know about Love. I don't. He's got the skill set to be good in the future. Whenever you've got Aaron Rodgers, you've got to kind of compare. do we really think Jordan Love is going to be this, be what Aaron is, or at least close to it? Because that team is pretty much in win now mode. They've got the team to win now. They've made the past 2 NFC championships, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, uh, I don't see the Packers improving with Jordan Love over the next. I don't think if Jordan Love was the starter in 5 years, I don't think their team would be better than the Packers are right now. I think
That's a,
Aaron
f-
should stay.
that's a fair statement. I like that answer.
I think Jordan Love will not amount to what Favre or Rodgers was for this franchise. I don't know if that was the vision they had when
Oh,
they
that's a
drafted him.
hard benchmark to hit, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there aren't a lot of quarterbacks now or in the future that could do that for Green Bay football.
Right.
Like it's something that the Packers did, and not many teams are going to be able to replicate that. It hadn't happened before. Almost. I can't. I mean, I personally can't name a team that had happened with before.
Hmm.
So it was something that was done then. I don't think Jordan Love was the guy to try and continue that trend. But we don't know. I know you were really high, Ronan, on him coming out of the draft, and then
Hmm.
when Green Bay drafted him, I was like, there goes that. Like in my opinion, I was like, he's a great quarterback, and they did the same thing with Aaron. But I don't know if Green Bay is going to be the fit for Jordan Love.
I just feel like they jumped the gun on him. And
Yeah,
obviously, Aaron hadn't won the MVP yet. So
right.
he had one at the year prior. I doubt they would have drafted a quarterback in the first round. But Aaron showed that he's got more in the tank. Obviously, he just won MVP. He's having a pretty good year this year. I like Jordan Love. I don't like him more than Aaron Rodgers.
That's fair. Very fair.
All right, so let's go ahead and the next segment. We're going to pick our all-time starting offenses. So we're going to give a quarterback, a running back, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. Now, chances are that some of our guys will overlap, and that's fine. They're at the top for a reason. But Jake, you want to start off?
Uh, yeah, I'll start off. So originally we had talked about this prior, probably about a week prior to recording this. We had been discussing it. So I had like 2 teams built, one based purely off of favorite players, like maybe guys that wouldn't get picked for the most part on other teams, and then I had one that was like actually top tier players all time. Um, I'll go with that one because I feel like it's a little bit more on topic for what we're doing.
Hey, we could do both. I'm fine with either one.
I'll give both. I'll give both.
Go for it.
I'll go with my all time greats though. Um, number one quarterback. As much as I hate to say it, to me it is probably Brett Favre. From everything I've seen from Brett Favre, I caught the tail end of his career in my lifetime. But watching everything from Brett Favre beforehand, it's hard to deny how good of a quarterback he was. I'm somebody who I may hate the competition, but I still respect and understand greatness when I see it. So Brett Favre would be my quarterback. Um, this is my one bias pick. I think we can all go one bias pick here. My one bias pick is Walter Payton at the running back position. Walter Payton to me is the greatest running back of all time. There, that's a big dispute. There's a lot of guys I feel like you could have that conversation about, but to me, Walter Payton was just that guy.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
I think wide receiver. I picked the 2 guys that people would go to probably immediately, and that's Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. Those guys to me are kind of the they are the best of the best when it comes to wide receiver position. those are what most wide receivers say they aspire to be. Whenever you ask a high school or college wide receiver, what do you want to be whenever you get to the NFL? That is what they see. And I think that to me, that's what kind of won that over. But the wide receiver position is so vast across NFL history that it is kind of a hard thing to pick. But to me, those are the two best. And you put them on a team together, and it's insane. And then finally, tight end. Uh, I went with Antonio Gates. That was probably my favorite tight end in the league. When he was here, and it was, yeah, you just knew when it went to him, he was gonna make a play. It didn't matter where Philip Rivers was putting that ball. He he was catching that ball and making a play, and that was just the kind of guy that Antonio Gates was.
I like that lineup. I don't see too many teams, or too many defenses being able to figure that one out.
Exactly. Um, do you want me to go with my other lineup now, or do you guys want to take this one from here?
Uh, yeah, go ahead and you can give your kind of all-time favorite lineup if you want.
All right, I'll go
A
ahead
little
and go with
backyard
that.
football team.
Um, my first quarterback, and this is gonna be something that a lot of people are gonna be like, really? But I went with Donovan McNabb because when I first started watching football, I loved watching Donovan McNabb. I loved his play style. Uh, I loved his charisma. I loved what he could do with the football. Whenever he was on the field, he was the guy to watch. Um, for running back, I went with Maurice Jones-Drew. I remember watching him in the game against Carolina where it was just a downpour, and he rushed for over 100 yards. He made that Carolina defense look terrible. That's one of my favorite things to go back and watch is the highlights of that game. But I also remember the backyard football games, and you draft Maurice Jones-Drew to your team, and it was always so fun. I loved MJD when he was in the league. Wide receiver, I still went with Randy Moss. I mean, I feel like that's a fair pick. I look back, watch Randy Moss tapes, and he was just something different. And then Megatron for his 9 years in the league, I feared playing Megatron every week, or not every week, every year. Had to play him twice a year. I feared playing him every time. You never knew what he was gonna do. And then tight end, a little bias on this one, but I liked him before he was even on the Bears. Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham has always been that tight end for me, no matter where he was, whether it was the Saints, the Packers, the Seahawks, or now the Bears. He's just always a guy that you can rely on in the red zone, and he always is able to make a really good catch. No matter where you put the ball, you can put that ball a foot above the defender's head, and Jimmy Graham is coming down with that.
Yeah, Jimmy, Miss Prime Jimmy was
I
a
miss
sight,
Prime Jimmy.
wasn't it?
It was. I tell you
Then
what,
he'd go and jump over a goalpost.
the football world was different in Jimmy Graham's prime.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna go ahead and in my starting lineup. I went ahead and picked Michael Vick at the QB, especially that 2004 Madden Michael Vick. I know we all remember that. And then I went with an older running back with Barry Sanders, just the best running back I think of all time. And then for wide receiver, I picked two that had a big impact on me growing up watching football. Just at that early age, I'd go AB and Julio. They transcended the wide receiver position, especially with AB being that sixth round pick on my favorite team. A little biased, but hey, we'll have it. And then for tight end, I just picked Gronk. It was Antonio Gates before Jake said it, and then I went ahead and changed it up.
I think it's fair to have a biased pick. You know, I think I think AB's a fine pick, especially if that's your one biased pick. I don't think there's a lot of issues with that.
That man could get open in any coverage and Tony toe tap. Woo! Gotta. Yeah, he burned all his bridges in Pittsburgh, but I still miss him. I cannot lie. He is still putting up the exact same numbers, and he missed 2 years of football. It just drives me insane.
I love AB. Plays he plays fun football to watch.
Hmm.
Anytime he touches the ball.
Needs to get on the field for my fantasy team. Golly. Need him after Calvin Ridley sat out, man. Well, we won't get into that.
All right, so I'm next up, yeah?
Yep.
All right. So my all-time team, right? Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is one of, if not the greatest, just pure passer of the football. I've been a huge Rodgers fan pretty much all my life. I like his kind of almost, I don't want to say like mysteriousness, but just secrecy in the media. I like how anytime the media talks about him, it's based off of assumptions and not facts, at least the majority of the time. Uh, I'm not talking about the current situation with Aaron Rodgers, but just in years prior. Uh, I've always been a big fan of his. I don't think that there are many quarterbacks who can throw into windows like he can. Like, but just overall, ever at the quarterback position in the NFL, he's my pick for the quarterback position. The running back, I've got all day AP. Adrian Peterson in his prime. I don't know how many guys better than him. I mean, coming off of the ACL and then just absolutely tearing the league apart. I love it.
I mean, who
I
was
think
stopping him?
Tearing his ACL the year prior
Russell
and then running for 2,000 yards.
Exactly.
2000 after torn ACL. I just uh for my wide receivers, I'm gonna go with Megatron. Uh, nobody's guarding him. Sometimes two people can't even guard him. I feel like he's kind of I don't want to say a shoe in because there have been great wide receivers to play in the NFL. It's hard to pick just two, but I have to go with Megatron for the first one and Randy Moss for the second one. Randy he was the guy, wasn't he? He was that guy.
I mean,
He
you know you're good whenever you have something of catching a ball over a defender's head named after you.
yeah yeah. Anytime your name is coined as an act of absolutely humiliating a defender, yeah. And for my tight end, I went with Tony Gonzalez. You guys took Gronk and Gates. Take Tony Gonzalez.
I
It
think
was I loved
that's
him.
where I would have gone, but I just wanted to be a little different, I guess, with
No,
my tight end pick. I mean, it's either
Well,
Gates, Gronk,
I
or
had Gates up
Gonzalez.
there. I was between I mean yeah, it was toss up between those three, and I feel like it would be like that for most people, at least
no.
for
Who's a
our
better
age
Kansas City
demographic.
tight end, Kelsey or Gates? Not Gates, Gonzalez.
I mean, let's let Kelsey retire. Well, I mean, KC tight end probably Kelsey. A Super Bowl with him. Gonzalez is good in Kansas City, but
Yeah, I guess you can give it to
I
you
that
mean,
know
at that point.
he was
Yeah.
also a
Gonzalez,
Falcon.
he kind of made his Kansas City was kind of where he made his name. He didn't go to Atlanta till towards the end of his career.
Yeah,
Um, I think stats wise, probably Gonzalez, but I think in terms of what they've brought to the city, I give a lot of credit to Kelsey's success, also to Patty, but it's not like Kelsey isn't a good tight end to begin with. You can give
right.
him any quarterback, and even quarterbacks who just love that check down. Kelsey's getting those stats. You're not stopping
I
him from
mean,
getting those stats.
no, he's He's what you want in a tight end. I mean, obviously he's the best in the league, but I like really any of those 3 picks at tight end.
Yeah.
Kelsey, I think once he retires, his name will probably be at least mentioned. Jake, I kind of want to kind of convinced me to create a little backyard football starting lineup. So I'll go through it real quick. At quarterback, I'm gonna take Peyton. Just
Mm-hmm.
it's one of my other favorite quarterbacks growing up.
Got to take the
At
sheriff.
running back, I'm gonna go with the bias pick. Everybody's had one. I'm gonna go with Steven Jackson.
That's fair.
Love that man. He has no idea who I am. That's okay. But I remember running around my house with a Rams helmet and just acting like I was Steven Jackson. I was not Steven Jackson, but act like it. The wide receiver positions, it gets a little bit tricky. I would probably go. I love Chad Ochocinco Johnson, whatever you wanna call him. Uh, Man who can burn you a route, burn you in FIFA, and then go pick up a Big Mac afterwards. I love him. And for that second wide receiver, you know what? Give me Steve Smith.
I love
Not
that
the
pick.
not now. See, there was the little debacle whenever there were 2 Steve Smiths in the league. I believe one was on the Giants, right? And then obviously the one on the Panthers,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the Panthers. No,
Mhm.
sorry, Giants, Steve Smith. Uh, I loved him. Then tight end, I mean, give me Kelsey. Talked about him. I'll take
Yeah.
Kelsey.
I think that's a good pick.
Okay.
In a way, I'm not surprised you went with Steven Jackson. In a way, I am surprised that we didn't mention CJ2K.
Yeah,
Chris
see,
Johnson?
if I wasn't gonna be biased, I was gonna go with LaDainian Tomlinson, though.
That's another one I was kind of surprised
That
we didn't really
was
bring up.
definitely a guy that would throw in there.
I mean,
But everybody else did a biased pick. I had to do one myself.
yeah, that's fair.
Show my colors. Show my allegiance.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. You guys want to go ahead and start with the picks?
Let's
Yep,
get
let's
into
go ahead and
it.
get into that.
All right.
So Jake, where were we at last week?
Well, after you guys ripped into me for only getting 2 right the week before, I came
Pretty
back
good.
and
Yep.
won, but it was only 4-4 on the week in terms of picking with the spread. The games I picked right, I picked Minnesota covering against Baltimore. We all picked the Chargers covering, so we all got that one. Me and Colby picked Arizona covering, so we both got that one. And then I was the only one to pick Chicago covering, and Chicago covered.
About that?
So that Chicago pick won me the week, but it was only 4-4. You both were 3-5. Uh,
Gee.
both picked
Bad week
Baltimore.
at team offense.
Both picked
Why I don't
Baltimore
bet.
against Minnesota. That was an L. You both picked New England over Carolina. That was a W. Cincinnati. We all picked Cincinnati. Did not cover. Got
Could have thunk
squashed.
it.
Um, like I said, we all picked the Chargers. Running, you were the only one to pick the Kansas City spread,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a win.
Okay, I'd like to say that we picked that before Aaron Rodgers got COVID.
Hey,
Yeah.
win's a win.
Hey, go take your win and get out of here.
I got it.
And then
Just glad it counted.
Colby, you managed to tie it up with the Arizona pick over San Francisco. Ronan had San Francisco, and then you both had the Rams and both had Pitt. So I take the week at 4-4.
Congratulations.
A win is a win is a win.
Last week, that's in the rear view.
That was
It
last
is.
week.
Let's look at this week's slate. So first up, we've got the game that Colby and I will be in attendance for. Jacksonville plus 10.5 at Indy minus 10.5.
10
So
and
what
a
are you guys
half.
thinking?
That 10.5 is a little hard not to bite
A
on.
lot. It's a lot. I'll go
Jonathan
ahead and go
Ta-
first. I'm gonna go Jacksonville 10.5. I think this game will be close
I
ish.
think I think Jonathan Taylor runs rapid on the Jacksonville defense. Give me the Colts.
I'm also taking Jacksonville. That ten
I
and a
will
half
take.
is too hard not to bite on.
It's Carson Wentz's baby game. He's not. He is literally going to get.
Is
So he is supposed to have a child delivered on game day, and he has said he is playing for the Colts. So,
I
I respect it. Hey, he sat out that time, all that time on the sideline with an injury. I respect it.
so I got. So
Just to get in there.
better not cheer for the Jaguars, because then we're gonna get killed in the stands.
Oh, I'm gonna be wearing blue.
Okay.
So let's see. Next up, Cleveland is the underdog, plus 2.5 at New England, minus 2.5. New England's been on bringing together some games, some wins.
Yeah, my power rankings from a few weeks ago don't seem so far fetched now. When I mentioned New England,
They just keep going back and forth. They win a game, they lose a game. It's
yeah,
just I want to see consistency from the roster that Bill Belichick opened up his playbook for. But speaking on that, I think Bill Belichick kills the Browns without Nick Chubb.
uh,
I think that
I think Baker and Juice can get it done. I'm gonna take Cleveland. The plus two.
Oh, tiebreaker. Okay. Um, I'm gonna go with Patriots minus 2.5. I don't know. Every time I've bet against the Patriots, they've slapped me in the face. So I
I
guess it's
just,
time.
I think Cleveland's defense can kind of hold off Mac Jones.
I do too, but
I
I
also
don't know.
don't.
Bill's Bill.
I have not paid close attention to how their offensive line is, so I don't know if Miles Garrett's gonna run rampant on that offensive line or not.
Yeah. What was Brian Burns say? Happy hunting. Better
happy
watch out if I
hunting.
was Mac Jones.
Happy hunting to my DNs.
Let's see. So we all picked from that game, right?
Yep.
All right. So next up, we've got New Orleans plus 2.5 at Tennessee minus 2.5.
Assuming Jameis is still out, pretty sure
Oh,
he
I'm
is.
pretty sure he has
Jameis
a
tore his
torn
ACL.
Pretty
ACL.
sure he's not having an ACL magically appear in his leg.
Yeah,
I'm taking Tennessee minus 2.5.
I'm with you.
I think the Saints defense will put up a better showing than what the Rams did.
You're taking New Orleans. Okay.
Yes. I think I don't know who's the starting quarterback either. Going to be Trevor Siemian. I don't know. I feel like they'll be a good game manager.
One
Wait,
thing.
isn't Kamara out?
Ooh.
Wait, that might just change my whole answer. Hold up. Let me
Yeah,
go
I
figure
gotta
this out.
double check that. I think I
That
remember seeing that somewhere.
Kamara is.
Out.
He
He's
is
out.
out.
Knee.
Yeah.
I'm joining. Yeah, we're on the Titans.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee. Welcome.
Right in Tennessee.
All right.
Clean
So we
sweep.
got that one. Not much of a surprise. I'm surprised that spread isn't really bigger. 2.5
True.
seems kind of slim.
Yeah.
Uh, but I have a little bit of a larger spread on this one. Tampa Bay minus 9.5 at Washington football team plus 9.5.
The last time the football team played Tom Brady, it was a 7-point game in the playoffs with Heineke. So
I want to do
give
it.
me give me the football team.
I want to do it too.
Give me it. I
Yep,
want the football.
I'm taking the football
I
team,
don't
baby.
think the football team will win. I think they will keep it within 9.5 points.
I'm taking Tampa. Sorry, I'm not letting a clean sweep on
Okay,
Tampa.
I mean
I'll be wrong and just take it on the shins.
Tom doesn't have Brown, Gronk, and I think Godwin's playing hurt.
Yeah, but it's Tom. They
Yeah,
have
I did say earlier that Tom Brady could make it work with whoever.
they had like an aging Julian Edelman, and like that's it, and he still made the playoffs. So I mean, I think he'll be able to figure it out. He's gonna remember all that talk. Oh, well, Washington was, basically the team that best played the Buccaneers in the playoffs. And he'll remember that, and he'll walk into Washington, and I think he'll be able to give Bucks at least a 10-point win.
Yeah, I mean probably, but it's why Taylor Heineke. That's that dude, all right. Big Taylor Heineke guy.
Big Taylor Heineke guy. All right, so next up, we've got Minnesota +3 at the Chargers -3.
Mm,
Every game Minnesota has been in, it's come down to the wire. Because they
Yeah,
just
they do
lost.
like to
They
give
just
their
lost by
fans
3 to
just.
Baltimore.
every time I've picked the
Mm.
Chargers, I've been disappointed. So I don't.
Chargers won last. Didn't I get that pick right, Jake?
Um, got me going back through my notes. Yeah, we both. I mean, we both picked the Chargers last week, so I guess I wasn't disappointed last week. But
Hey, we both got
um,
that right.
yeah,
Give me Minnesota with the +3.
I'm gonna go Chargers.
I'm joining you with the Chargers. I think in SoFi, we're kind of at that point in the season where Herbert and the rest of that team needs to kind of make a stand. They're kind of. I mean, that AFC is wide open. I mean, they're gonna have a chance probably throughout the entire season. But if they want to go on a deep run, they need to kind of hit their stride starting around now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go with the Chargers -3, assuming that the Chargers hit their stride,
Yeah.
uh, kind of in the race for the playoffs. So okay, next up, we've got Seattle, where Russell Wilson will be starting
He's back.
after a high forearm from Aaron Donald that broke his finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fractured his finger.
So we've got Seattle +3.5 at Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers seems like he will be playing. He'll start after having COVID and missing last week's game against Kansas City. -3.5. What do you guys
Mm,
think? That's going to be an interesting one.
I feel
yeah.
like both of the QBs are gonna come out and struggle since they both missed time. Or I don't know how Aaron Rodgers is gonna react after COVID. We saw what happened with Cam Newton.
Hmm.
So give me the Seahawks. If Russ is back, then Russ is back, and then I think that offense will be able to outscore Green Bay.
Man. Uh Running, you go first. I don't I
Yeah,
don't I don't know what to
I was
do.
gonna wait for you to pick yours before I had the decision made up. You know, I'm gonna go with Green Bay at home. I think even if Rodgers doesn't have a great game, they'll be able to pull it out. I don't think Seattle's run defense will necessarily the keep the Green Bay running backs under wraps. I think they'll be able to kind of get going, which will free up Rodgers a little bit, let
Mhm.
him get a little bit more comfortable. I'll take Green Bay at home -3.5.
I'm also gonna take Green Bay.
Go Hawks.
Hey, you watch your mouth. All right, next up we got Philly Eagles +1.5 at the Broncos -1.5. That's gonna be an interesting one. I like these kind of not top tier teams, but whenever they're equivalent,
uh,
almost at least in roster wise.
what Jalen Hurts are you gonna get? Are you
Yeah.
gonna get a Cowboys Jalen Hurts, or are you gonna get where he went toe for toe with Justin Herbert and matching scores with him? Uh, give me
Mm.
Denver. I think that defense will be able to lock down Jalen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna take Denver -1.5 at home.
think I'll also take Denver.
With that, something we can all agree on. All right. Kansas City minus 2.5 at Vegas playing the Raiders plus 2.5. Hmm.
Oh, give me Kansas City. They gotta make a move now. We all know that they're still capable of making that run. They've got to make that
Mhm.
run now. Give it to me. I'm taking Kansas City.
Give me KC. I can't.
Kansas City, they're kind of in that same situation that the Chargers are in. They need to hit their stride like now.
Yeah.
Want to make a deep run. Obviously, anything can happen in the playoffs, and all you really need to do is get there. But momentum is a real thing. I'm gonna take Vegas. It's 2.5 at home. I like that. I think
It's fair.
they can rattle Mahomes. I'm not necessarily completely confident in it, but I'll take Vegas plus 2.5.
Yeah. It's fair.
And then finally for the Monday night game, the Rams -4 at the 49ers +4. This will be Odell's first game as a Ram. It seems like he will be suited up and ready to go. That'll be huge for the Rams offense, considering Robert Woods is now out with a torn ACL, unfortunately. But I mean, really, if you look at it now, you're just replacing Robert Woods with Odell Beckham Jr. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Is it really the
don't
worst thing in the world? I mean, it sucks losing him,
no,
but
yeah, at 100% it does. But
San Fran always plays the Rams hard. It's always a hard fought game
I
for
yeah.
don't
us.
think McVay's beat Shanahan yet.
Yeah, I really don't. I'm not sure about that though.
If he has, I think Shanahan has the
He has the lead over
yeah,
McVay.
pretty decent margin,
I'm
if not
taking the Rams
mistaken.
regardless.
Yeah, give
Rams
me the
Uh,
Rams.
-4. Taking it.
Yeah.
I'll join you. That's my team. I gotta at least act like I'm confident. I'll take Rams -4.
All right. We clean swept 3 of the 9.
Look, we'll probably be wrong on them, but
Okay,
Yeah,
I
we can be wrong
wanted to.
together.
Okay, one of them wouldn't have if Alvin Kamara was playing.
yeah.
I would take
That's
the
fair.
Sure.
Saints if
That's
Kamara was
fair.
playing.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it. Do you guys have anything to add?
No, but I think that's it.
I think that'll do it.
Alrighty. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you for listening, and have yourself a football-filled weekend. Have a good one.
Peace.
Deuces.